There was a movie released in 1994 called The Shawshank Redemption. So main character Andy Dufresne goes to prison called Shawshank while being innocent under the charge of murder. He has a vision though, a vision of getting out and going to this beautiful place in Mexico called Zahualtenejo. So he gets a sledgehammer, which is a very tiny hammer, doesn't do much. He starts to pick his prison cell's wall with it every day. And he knows this will take time, but he knows past this wall, it's freedom to the outside world, right? In his time in prison, he always had this sense of calm in him, reason being he had this vision, this beautiful place, and he had an approximate timeline in mind, 20 years. 20 years to finish digging that exit out of his prison cell. So when we have tools of having a vision and a timeline, we are able to ignite hope to keep us going towards that destination. Keeps us focused, keeps us alive. Surprisingly though, I didn't learn this from the movie, but the Quran. The movie just made all this visually click for me. Like the movie, the Quran will inspire you, but it will also reframe your mind to think about your own timeline and your own vision, discovering the path that, not much of us think about anymore. We all have vision. We all strive towards an image or a goal. And it's not that someone has vision or no vision that makes a difference in value. The difference lies in how far it can reach. So your vision's reach could be just tonight's chill hangout or this weekend's gathering. And that's about as far as it can get. Or it can be having a stable job and a happy family. It could be going as far as being an old man looking at your grandchildren from a rocking chair. Now, Allah doesn't criticize these visions in themselves, but He criticizes not seeing past them. So Allah rhetorically asks us in Surah Al-Takwir this question by the end of the surah's address, فَأَيْنَ تَذْهَبُونَ? Right? Then where are you going? A very profound question if we were to honestly ask ourselves. Allah is calling us to look ahead and reflect whether our perceived direction is really the only direction we are actually walking towards. The irony here is that this is Surah Al-Takwir, okay? This is the surah that begins with the image of the sun losing its light, the stars falling out of place, and the mountains are set in motion, and all the way to even the oceans going up in flames. إِذَا الشَّمْسُ كُوِّرَتْ وَإِذَا النُّجُومُ انْكَدَرَتْ وَإِذَا الْجِبَالُ سُيِّرَتْ. When the sun is wrapped up, when the stars fall, dispersing, when the mountains are removed. These are the catastrophic images before the Day of Judgment begins. The universe collapses and another one rises for judgment. In essence, when we put the question in the context of the bigger conversation, Allah has answered the question already, You are already coming to me. That's where we are actually going. We look at our path and we see perhaps we weren't looking clearly all along. Where did I think I was going? Allah is basically asking, why are you going around in circles? Why don't you look at what's staring you from far away? A job, a family, old age, and retirement aren't just what's awaiting us. Allah is awaiting us. And so the question implies preparation. Regardless of what we choose to perceive as our direction, straight or crooked, the destination is the same, for each and single one of us. And the destination of our judgment is straight ahead. And if we orient ourselves correctly, then it wouldn't be wrong for us to hope and expect the reward of Jannah. And so when this vision becomes clear in our minds, Allah helps us out by giving us a timeline to put things in perspective with. When Surah Al-Kahf elaborates on the Quran, it describes it as قَيِّمًا لِيُنذِرَ بَأْسًا شَدِيدًا مِنْ لَدُنْهُ وَيُبَشِّرَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ الَّذِينَ يَعْمَلُونَ الصَّالِحَاتِ أَنَّ لَهُمْ أَجْرًا حَسَنًا مَاكِثِينَ فِيهِ أَبَدًا. A straightforward book to warn of a severe punishment from Him and to give the good news to the believers who do righteous deeds that they will have an excellent reward, which is paradise, in which they will dwell in forever. Now, the Quran brings new meanings sometimes just from how its verses are structured. Allah placed the verse and they will, forever dwell in this reward on its own. مَاكِثِينَ فِيهِ أَبَدًا is just one verse, disconnected from the previous verse that mentions the vision of paradise, which is unusual because the reward of paradise and its length are usually combined together in other places in the Quran. So to make sense of this, we need to look again at Surah Al-Kahf as a whole. This surah involves 4 stories that revolve around, the trials mankind is tested with. You have disbelief, you have wealth, you have knowledge, and you have power. And it takes tremendous effort to make sure we stick through and not fall through them. And so Allah places a unique focus on the aspect that we will essentially be immortal with our reward, and that we are on a very small clock in the testing period. And Allah is bringing your attention to put things in perspective of time. We have seen nothing yet. I like how this forces us to stop and contemplate, like this is a very short game we're playing after all. A concept of eternity to make us or help us withstand temptations of a temporary nature. Whatever age you may be, your timeline is in fact very short in comparison of what's coming. And along with this relatively, short timeline, you have an extraordinary vision waiting ahead. The meaning of Allah along with what He has in store to reward you with. Now that's important to note. Despite how scary this episode might come off, we shouldn't be. Because Allah mentions in other places how people hope to meet Allah in the last day. If we are attempting to do the best we can, it's completely fine to hope for this event. It's not weird. After all, this is potentially the day you meet your loved ones, the day our sadness and grief leaves us forever, the day we finally meet Allah. And so we put this timeline and this vision in place, and you'll be able to awaken your feeling of hope. Whatever you're going through, you will realize you have it in you to take it, and we have something greater we are working towards. On a much smaller scale, that's what Andy Dufresne had to do in order to escape to Mexico. But on the greatest and the most epic scale of events, having a true vision and a true timeline is what we, as believers, have to do. And of course, as always, I just want to remind you, this is not a tafsir. This is a reflection on the established meanings of the verses amongst our scholars. I'm not your neighborhood scholar or your teacher. I'm just some Muslim kid.